go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
Matt Williams got a brilliant start from the third row of the grid.
He's gone, he's hit him, he's straight off at the chase.
A half-second lead. Oh, but the sizzling car in the background.
He has it. Oh, he's round on the last lap.
There's a massive accident.
Ducks to the inside, what a move, what a move.
Yeah, OZTCAC Retro Championship. We're kicking it old school this evening. I'm Chris Riddell, and with me, as always, Michael Zalavari. Good evening, mate. Yes, and awesome old school track is right, because we're at Donington Park. Awesome facility. Got a lot of history to it too. Been around since they've been racing since like the 1930s. Yes. Yep. And the great thing is, tonight, for something different, we're using both layouts of the track as well. Yeah. Just before we go on, we're actually having stream issues where we're not picking up Flood's audio. Yeah. I have no idea. We'll come back in a moment. Please hold. Your stream is important to us. Flo, can you speak for me now? What? Hang on. Let's try again now. Nope. Why is this happening? God damn it. Cheers. Hang on. Speak for me now. Testing. Go again. No, it's not. I'm not picking up any desktop audio at all. No, that ain't happening.
Like, whatever my voice is coming out of.
Speak again.
So it might just be that you've got your desktop audio device.
Okay, I think we're good. I think we are okay.
Okay, we're okay.
I'll test in a sec. Nether, if you can do a test for us when we go back live.
We've only got Brock in here,
Okay.
so it's only us two.
Okay, I think we've been live. Can you just check for me on stream to see if that voice is picking up?
I'm gonna try. Hopefully, you guys are listening to me at home. Yes, my voice is coming through. Okay, we fixed it. We're back, everyone. We fixed it.
Oh, wouldn't it be a stream without an issue like that?
It wouldn't be us doing anything without an issue like this, to be honest.
Sorry if you've listened to all of that. We're wondering what the heck are these two talking about, but where were we? Donington Park.
Donington Park, yes. I actually really like this circuit. I used to love it a lot when they were doing MotoGP down here because the elevation change and the way that the corners flow into each other is just magnificent. And that is one of the reasons I love this circuit and why I think it's a great track to drive.
Yes, and it, like you said, it's got elevation, it's got that old school character, and it's got some really tricky corners as well. With those elevation change, like turn 1 here. Every time I've raced this on a sim, turn 1 always gets me. You just seem to take
be fair, any corner you race on a sim gets you.
A straight line gets me.
This is true.
But turn 1, you can get the pass done there into Red Gate, but it's a tricky corner. Turn 7 McLean's is another great sort of undulating corner as well. And the Melbourne hairpin, even though we're not racing it in this first race, is obviously a fantastic passing opportunity.
Yeah, they're your big passing opportunities. I actually don't think McLean's is that good a passing opportunity. I think for the most part, you want to be using McLean's to set up a pass into Coppice, which is turn 8. So using the sweep through turn 7 at the top of the hill to set you up for turn 8. I reckon that would be the better opportunity.
Makes sense. And then at the end of Starkey Straight as well, because you've got the shorter, the old school S's here, that's a bit of a passing zone as well. But you got to be careful because the pit lane sort of juts out straight away there as well. So you got to be careful about that.
Don't want to run into a car on the end there. Shall we talk a bit about the cars we're racing?
We should. So we have many cars registered for this race. Let's go through them now. Starting with Michael Mack, number 64 in the BMW. 65 Stuart Davies is racing your favourite Porsche, the beautifully GPS inspired livery. Car 015 Cam Rutledge is in a Ford, as is car 272 Glenn Miles, the black and gold Playboy car, with his teammate number 27 Brian Walsh. Car number 4 is Brock Harvey in the MHRT Holden, of course. His teammate Luke Joyner, number 5. The picture does show his car has no wheels on it.
Because it's a Holden, what do you expect?
True. Turbos into a Holden as well. Number 7. Number 15, Will Devonish, one of our favourites, in an Opal. Car 555.
Very special.
Yes, it is. Car 555, Rob Christdale in a Porsche. Car 99, Coops in a Cancer Council Martini liveried Porsche.
Oh, so good.
His teammate here, Scooter Murrow, in number 91. Scott Nolan is car number 18, the Synergy Sim Racing Machine. Car 66 is Mike Colston in an Alfa Romeo. Camel's inspired livery, beautiful car. And there's Brenton Hobson, the 88 Porsche. We've got car 221, Daniel Rasmussen driving a Holden. 53, Colin Warwick also in a purple Holden. Lime Mitch is out of his Pink Panther, he's in an Alfa Romeo, number 47.
A lime coloured Alfa Romeo, so we shouldn't get that one wrong.
Hopefully not. Stephen Apps is number 13. Car 117, Cody Bircher in a Ford Escort, and Jake Donaldson, number 17, in a green Ford Escort. A very crudely drawn number 17 on it too. And rounding out the entry list, car number 9, Billy Dougal in a Puma. And rounding out the list again is car number 31, Mitchell Hathaway in the first of the Delaras. And car 010, Benji Rhodes in a Delara that will be crashed at some point.
Most likely, yes.
And then we've got 61 is a BMW, Steve Bolger in car number 87. And car number 34, Stuart Neal in an Escort.
So we've got a lot of sign-ups for this series. And
we do.
At this stage in practice, we've got, I think it's 21 cars that have set a lap. So we've got a pretty decent field. Plus, I think Will Devonish is just kind of hanging out in the server just before we start. So a massive field. And if we get any sort of racing like we did last season, we're going to be in for an absolute treat. But I've actually heard that the physics model for these cars is a lot more difficult to get a handle on than the one for last season. So we've seen a few guys really struggle in this first practice session. I think there was a car park on the exit of turn 4 in one of the before we were broadcasting. So the cars look really difficult to get a handle on. So we could see a fair bit of argy-bargy and a few offs as we go through this weekend or tonight.
Quite possibly. And well, look at the previous series: front wheel drive, grip for days. You know, if you're in trouble, just power out of it. Not the case with these things. Rear wheel drive, high horsepower, unstable as all hell. It's going to make for some grip and viewing.
It's a beautiful thing, man.
Yes.
I love it. I love this. We've already seen, by the way, a number of drivers try to pull out of their pit boxes and spin it in the pit lane. So that kind of gives you an idea of where people are with these cars at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be underway in about 4 minutes' time with the qualifying session. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Seven.
Okay, so we're about a minute out from the start of qualifying. So shall we go check some racing action now?
Hey, up to you.
You're right, it is up to me. I've started with the replay on... There we go. Just took a while to get through. Right, so
we haven't done this for a month and Kiwi's already forgotten how everything works.
We're off to a great start. No, we're all good now. So we're looking at Brenton Hobson here coming through the final corner, the yeses. That is actually a good looking Porsche. Now you love Porsches, don't you?
I do. I am unabashedly, unashamedly a fan of Porsches. Everything from the original 356s to the modern day LMP prototypes. It's just, I love my Porsches. And seeing some of these liveries that people have put on the cars, there's a Rothmans tribute, there's a Martini tribute. It's just a beautiful thing, man.
Even the cancel Martini lines look good. Like you got that reverse livery one, which is really cool as well.
Yeah, don't get me started on how much I love reverse liveries. I love reverse liveries almost as much as I love Porsches. It's just such a simple concept, but it just makes things look so good. Hobson, oh no, he's not. It's weird to see Brendan Hobson with a not number 1 next to his name in a practice session. He was clearly the fastest in.
Okay, interesting. You've done a bit of hanging around in this. Who else should we be looking for in the qualifying session as we get underway here?
So we're just about to get started. I think Termo as well looked very, very quick. And of course, Will Devonish and Lion Mitch as well. They should be the ones to definitely watch because they were the quickest of the drivers on the international circuit.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be fairly close. There seems to be a very distinct first pack and then a mid group and then the rest. So, you know, the guys like Rody.
He told me to prepare the trumpets.
When you watch this back, Rody, just know that we're doing this from a place of love.
he did mention that we should prepare the trumpets for when he finishes the lap. I haven't prepared the trumpets.
Yeah, we'll get the fanfare started as the cars pull out on their qualifying. So if you haven't joined us for the last TCAC series, you don't know how qualifying works. It's a 3-lap session, and in 10 minutes basically. So the drivers get an out lap, 3 time laps, and then an in lap, and it all has to be done within 10 minutes. So you'll see a lot of these guys going out at the first shot of the gun, like you can see now, and then maybe 1 or 2 will come out a little later on. But it's you got 2 or 3 chances at it. So we'll keep a deft eye on the sectors as they come through.
Having said that, it looks like everyone has made it out early.
Yeah, quite a few actually, and
Yeah.
quite a few are already off at turn 4. Just
Of
like
course.
we said.
Brownie and the Cracker Racing. I do love the John Player inspired livery of that. That's great. Brownie's car.
It does look very, very nice. They've actually running it on the TCR cars that both Brownie and Cracker are running in
Nice.
the OZTCR category as well. So
Nice.
keep an eye out for those if you want to watch the TCR.
And I appreciate Cracker taking off the fat part of his team name.
That was good fun. Good fun.
Now we're looking here at Rhodey and the newly named Jaegeroo Motorsport as he spins out coming through. Thanks, Rhodey. We got that on stream. Well done.
No, it was all.
Stu, one of our newcomers to this series. Have you seen him race before?
I have not. No, he's in. I thought it was a Volvo S40 inspired livery, but apparently that one's a custom one made by some friends of his in Canada, which looks very, very nice as he starts his first flying lap. We've got a few people on flying laps now.
Mm-hmm.
The first of which I think is Brenton Hobson, if I can find Brenton Hobson.
As you do that, I'll try and find him and fail miserably. And I'll go to Coops in the 99 Fat Spot Racing Porsche.
So as the sector times come in, we'll make reference to the 3 timing markers. First sector runs from the start-finish line all the way through to the bridge. Second sector runs from the bridge onto the back straight, Starkey Straight, and then that runs to the finish line.
Okay, we just had 2 cars go off there. Stu was one of them. And the other one was one of the Cracker team cars.
Brownie's that one.
Okay. Anyone on a lap at the moment?
Yep, so Brendan Hobson is the first one on track at the moment. He's done a 33.1 to the first sector, 32.5 to the second sector, which is purple at the moment. And he's just crossed the line in his first lap and set a benchmark time of a 1:24.4.
And Damien Rasmussen almost 6 tenths down on that in second.
And that's all in the second half of the lap. That was 4 tenths lost in the second sector and 3 tenths in the last sector.
Okay. Now, keeping an eye on Brownie. Now, Brownie was the one that had his incident, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Now,
So the easy way to remember the 2 Cracker racing cars is that Cracker's in the BMW and Brownie is in the Porsche.
I'll still get it wrong.
I mean, you will. It's just for the people at home, the people watching.
Lime Mitch has set a good time there. 1:25.5.
Yeah, real impressive from Lime Mitch. He actually had a really good run in the TCR race as well. So he's looking like one of the stronger cars in this lineup. Brenton Hobson's actually done another purple first sector.
Got him on screen now. So we'll keep it out from finish this lap.
He's really looking on fire at the moment. And other people with good first sectors, not too much coming in at the moment. Scotty G's on a pretty decent first sector, just outside in the 34s. Scott Nolan as well, with a 33.5 the first sector, so he's on a decent lap. But Brendan Hobson comes across the line. He's 200ths outside of his fastest lap.
He was 2 tenths up coming to the final sector, so he must have lost that all in the chicane.
Yeah, and that chicane in these cars, these rear-wheel drive cars, it's looking like it's the most difficult part of the track. That final duck into the S's, and even on the international circuit, those last 2 hairpins, it really loads up the suspension, the brakes, and with all the power in these cars, it's proving to be very difficult.
Now, go to Oz Rob, because Oz Rob is currently on a flyer. He's 5 tenths down on Hobson in second place, but he's 3 tenths up on Hobson so far on this lap.
Oh, Mike just gets out of the way from Oz Rob there in the Saudi Camel car. Rob's looking pretty good at this stage. Hobson's actually gone quicker in the first sector as well with 33 002, whereas Rob's on a 33.009.
Yep,
As he comes into
he did
the
get caught up
last
there.
sector.
He got caught up by traffic, got balked, so I think unfortunately that lap's a bit of a throwaway. He'll still have one more crack at it, as Will Devonish has popped up to second.
And that was the way of the story of it in... good lap in the end by Ozrob to go a 10th under his PB. Hobson's on another flyer, by the way. He's just crossed the line. He's dropped that mark even further at 24.2, now the fastest of the session, which is 0.2 quicker than his personal best. He's got a half a second on the rest of the field already.
Crazy. Now, you got an eye on Devonish here as he comes around the back half of the track and runs wide, and that's his final lap ruined.
Yeah, I think a few guys are on their final go at it. Damian Rasmussen jumps up to second now with a great lap. Where did he get all that time?
Almost 7 tenths faster than his previous best.
Yeah, it was all in the middle sector. He found all that time. So that's a great lap from Rasmussen to jump up to second place.
Where else do we get it? So it looks like, yeah, cars are starting to come across the line to finish off their laps. Looking at Mitch Hathaway here, he's going to improve his personal best. He's 1.5 tenths up, coming clean sponsored with the old livery, done it well.
Yeah, it's a good job. Unfortunately for Mitch, not an improvement after that slide in the last sector. And he does get outdone by Steve Bolger, who puts in a, whereabouts, 25.1 to go 6th at the end there. Now, is anyone else on a flying lap?
Scotty G's. Yeah, Scotty G's about a second up on his previous best, so this should shoot him up as he runs a bit wide and makes
he's on his in lap though, which is unfortunate for him.
Okay.
Luke Joyner's also just started his final flying lap, but he's getting a bit held up by Stu, so that's probably not going to go well for him.
We'll keep an eye on him because he's 3 seconds down, so any improvement here will be good as he comes through the back chicane, which is one of my favourite parts of this track. The S is at the backside. That sounded a lot more ruder than I intended. And again, it's a good retro-looking livery. Okay, he's a 1/10 down in his personal best. I don't think he's going to improve his time on this lap.
I think we got to head up to 10th and look at Mike Coulston, because he's just about to come into the Sector 2 beam, and at the first sector, he was on a personal best.
He still is, 5 tenths up.
Half a second up on his personal best. He's just going to get this last sector right. Nicks the curb on the inside very nicely. Gets that Alfa Romeo pointed down the straight. Let's see if he can jump up the order on this lap, and it will be
a 1:25.212 puts him into 7th place.
Great improvement on that last lap.
That was fantastic. I think that's everyone done now. Well, time's almost up anyway, so no one else will get a lap in if they haven't. Yep, looks like we're all done.
Cool. So, the grid for this first race then is, unsurprisingly, Brenton Hobson in first. So, normal status resumed from last season. Damian Rasmussen, Will Devonish, Ozrob, Lime Mitch, Steve Bolger, Mike Coulston, Scott Nolan, Mitch Hathaway, and Termo rounds out the top 10. Next is Scotty G, then Luke Joyner, Cracker, Coops, Brownie, Cam Rutledge, Stu, Brian Walsh, Rhodey, Brock Harvey, Glenn Miles, and Scott Morrill is your grid. It really surprised to see Brock Harvey that far down the grid after what we saw from him last season.
Yeah, but from looks at 11 seconds down, I'm guessing he just never got a lap together.
Yeah, which can happen around here. Well, can happen in any series, honestly.
Yeah, and especially here, because this track is pretty unforgiving. It doesn't take much to go off track and throw it all away. Not as unforgiving as Bathurst, mind you, but...
Well, the difference between here and Bathurst is that here you've got room. You can go out into the paddocks and be free from walls and tyres and everything else. At Bathurst, if you make a mistake there, you're basically cooked.
Yeah. See, FIA, you don't need mountains of tarmac to create a safe racetrack.
Don't start this. If we start this, there will be no other talk for the rest of the evening, and I don't think people who would love to listen to the TCAC action would like to hear us moan about track limits and concrete jungles and Paul Ricard.
No, if you want to listen to that, subscribe to Endurance Chat.
Oh, don't even.
Sponsor. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be back any moment now for the start of race 1.
Bye.
And we're back. So at the moment, we've got the drivers in the drivers briefing. We'll get it underway, hopefully within the next 5 to 10 minutes. What sort of things are they talking about in this driver briefing now? New series, new excitement. I can imagine everyone's getting a bit excited about it all. What were they talking about?
So, yeah, it's there's a bit of an atmosphere of expectation, which is really nice. I think a lot of people saw what was going on in TCAC last season and the sort of racing that they were producing and the sort of fun that they were having, and that's something that I think the organizers, especially I just ducked in, they just did mention. You know, this is meant to be a series that's fun, that's laid back, that's relaxed. I think that's really, really important. But on the other hand, they also expect it to be fair and, you know, not full of dicks. So this is going to be a fun series to watch and a fun series to participate in. And on top of that, in this series, there's also the success ballot system. So I'm not sure if it's been reworked since last series, but the long and the short of it is, if you finish well, you get weight added. If you finish at the back, you get weight taken off. So the idea is to bring the series over time more together, so that way the guys like the Brenton Hobsons and the Will Devinishes kind of get pulled back towards the field, and then the guys who might be at the other end get pulled a bit further in. We saw that create some really awesome battles towards the latter half of last season, actually.
We did. The last couple of races, Hobson being pegged so much meant that you had some great battles for the lead. People like Glenn Miles, you know, who were up front and things like that. I was trying to find,
be very kind.
you know what I mean. I was trying to find a way to word that without sounding rude. But
so hopefully by the end of the series, Roddy might be able to win a race.
Oh no! You need to, for that to happen, you need a specific performance adjustment of a nuclear weapon blowing up each car.
We saw at the end of last season, I think, especially at Goiânia, which I think was my favorite round last season, where we had the likes of Mike Coulston and Termo and Brian Walsh qualifying on pole for that last race. Was really, really cool. And so we should see a bunch of interesting stuff come together throughout that. Second thing we should mention is that while we've had qualifying for the first race, second race is all random grid.
which is the way we like it.
It's gonna be great fun. Watching out everything jumbles up. You know, assuming that we actually get some, as we see some cars doing some donuts in pit lane.
That's a penalty.
As the comes to the end. See some guys have to work their way through, and some of the slower guys right at the very front. It always produces some crazy stuff.
Absolutely, and that's what I love about the Forza series I'm running at the moment.
Ah, yes. We'll just completely get rid of AMS Oz and talk about Kiwi's Forza series for a little while. So, because we're the broadcaster, we can do that. So what's your Forza series? Just to fill some time.
Basically, it's like it's improved production rules. Basically, so cars have a weight based on how much power they produce and what sort of drivetrain they are. Cars have been really closely matched. The racing's been insane.
Nice.
I'm throwing in tyre restrictions, so tyre wear penalties as well.
Really?
Random grids. When there's races that can have rain, I'm basing it on where I start the random grid race.
Fantastic.
It's just a laugh.
Yeah, I feel like I remember rolling a Lancia Delta while leading by like 3/4 of a lap in one of your races.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's the same philosophy as this, though. Just get out there, have fun. Who cares about the result? As much as you'd like to say, oh, Hobson won last season.
I think the more important thing is the friends we made along the way.
Oh God, I'm gonna be sick.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll take that.
While we're killing a bit more time, we talked about the history of this place. Everything's been here.
Yeah, literally everything. Everything from old school F1 to MotoGP to trucks to it's just
Yeah.
This I think this along with Silverstone and Brands Hatch is like the hotbed of motorsport history in the UK.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a Jonathan Palmer owned circuit now. Same guy who,
okay.
same guys who own Alton Park and Brands Hatch.
Yeah.
And they've put a lot of money into it to actually bring up the facilities. Now, I've just noticed something really interesting. Who do you reckon has set the fastest lap for a GT3 car around here?
Oh, GT3.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're never going to get it.
So that means it's someone like Bernd Schneider or something like that.
No, he set fastest lap around here in DTM.
Oh, okay.
The answer?
Yeah, what?
The answer, Zach Brown.
What? No.
Yep.
That's Zach Brown?
That's Zach Brown.
Yeah.
In a McLaren MP4 12C, unsurprisingly. In the 2012 British GT season.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that they raced GT3 here that recently.
Well, they raced, in 2006, they raced LMP1 around here.
What?
Yep.
LMP1? Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, they did too. Oh, that's scary.
Oh, imagine the Porsche 919 hybrid around here.
Oh, God. That's terrifying. That would be like an exercise in aerodynamics destroying a human body. It would be amazing.
I just remember this place though from Superbikes. People like Aaron Slight, the Kiwi rider, down the Melbourne hairpin, and things like that. And this is a hotbed for bike activity. I think MotoGP, not MotoGP, British Superbikes still come here.
MotoGP did in the past.
They did in the past, yeah.
Even as recently as I think 2008, they were racing here.
Mm-hmm. Now they've gone to Silverstone, which is I can't imagine that on a bike.
I honestly, even though we've just had the Silverstone race, which had one of the closest finishes in MotoGP history, I still prefer this track for bikes. I think it's just a more suitable environment, as I just watched Brownie launch over the last chicane.
Just testing the track limits, it's fine.
Yeah, just testing the suspension of these Porsche.
Yeah.
I remember watching a bunch of highlights of the I think it's the early 90s MotoGP races through here with the likes of Mick Doohan and Daryl Beattie and those sort of guys racing at the very front of the field. And I think they had a classic around here at one stage. I can't remember when, but yeah, it was a really, really important track for bike racing.
Yeah, and these days it's actually serving as a test facility and sort of main testing and hub for Formula E as well.
Yeah, which is a really interesting place for it. Not really where I would have expected, because considering the Formula E cars tend to rely a lot on regenerative braking and stuff like that. But around here, they're, only half a second slower than a DTM. Provided, well, an old DTM. The modern DTM, maybe not.
I've just realised I've been muted that whole time.
Oh, Chris, why?
Well, for the last 20 seconds, I think.
Okay, good.
So, I was going to say, so we're about ready to get going with the next race, or the first race of this new series, and the tension is just a little bit palpable, I think, with the drivers.
I hope so. I reckon it'll be. I hope everyone gets through the first corner cleanly. If we get through the first corner cleanly, it'll be all right. But if not, we could see some stuff happen.
We could.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
I mean, we're not going to get the 6-wide action that we saw at Interlagos, the first race of OZTAC, because...
Interlagos.
Was
that one?
Yeah. What did I say?
It wasn't. Yeah. Are you alright?
Yeah, I'm good. Just a little bit stuffy.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm fine. No, I was going to say, but we won't be getting any 6-wide action because this track doesn't really suit 6-wide action.
See, you say that, but it could still happen. We've seen it at other tracks that doesn't really suit 6-wide action.
Too true. Okay, so
literally anything is possible.
Okay, Adidas.
Oh, stop it.
So we're gridding up now. Cars slowly making their way out to the grid. Oh god, so what's that? 23 cars today.
On one more car to make the grid before we start jumping around for the warm-up lap. It is Lime Mitch.
Come on, Lime Mitch. Come on.
Is
there he goes.
There he goes.
Oh, we've got a great camera angle for the start as well. That's going to be great. As we're away on the formation lap. Shall we go through the grid one more time?
Our grid is Brendan Hobson in the Synergy Sim Racing 88 car, followed by Damien Rasmussen in that Holden. I think it's a Tirana that they're running.
It is.
And then it's the Will Devonish Opal. Then the first of the Porsches, Ozrob's JP Sim Shed Rothman's Tribute. And the lime green Alfa Romeo for Lime Mitch. BMW driven by Steve Bolger in the Gravel Rash Racing livery. Mike Coulston in Saudi Camel Racing, the beautiful camel liveried Alfa Romeo. Scott Nolan in the second of the Synergy Sim Racing Porsches. Mitch Hathaway in the Aussie Mail Dallara. Termo rounds out the top 10 in that Brock-inspired Mobile 1 Racing Tirana.
Appreciate you having Termo on your front windscreen there, Termo.
Thank you for that. Scotty G in the Synergy Sim Racing number 71 Escort. And then we've got Luke Joyner in another of the Tiranas. Cracker in the Cracker Racing BMW. Then the Martini Cancer Council 99 Flat Spot Racing car.
99!
99! Brownie in the second of the Cracker Racing cars. An Escort with Cam Rotley. Oh no, that is in fact a Tirana. He was just behind the Escort of Stu in 17th. Brian Walsh in the Team Playboy Walsh car. Rody actually not at the tail of the grid, which is a surprise to everyone, in the Jaegeru Motorsport. Dallara. Then it's Brock Harvey in the MHRT Tirana. Thank you very much for the flashing lights again, Brock. Glenn Miles in the Team Playboy Miles car, the Escort. And rounding out the grid, Scott Murrell in the 9-1 Flat Spot Racing Cancer Council inverted livery Porsche. And that is your 22 car grid for this first race of OZTCAC Retro.
And you've timed that beautifully as Hobson's now making his way back to the grid to take his position on pole.
So what are you expecting?
I'm expecting the inside here to have a great launch because it is a staggered grid as well.
Yep.
I'm expecting chaos at the back.
Yep.
Because there's a few drivers out of position, and I'm expecting carnage in the next 25 minutes. So, you ready for this?
I don't think I could ever be ready for this, but we're going to give it a go.
All right. Last couple of cars are gritting up now. Our reverse martini livery machine just doing his last little burnout. And, Jesus, that's a bit close. And we'll wait the lights. And we are away. That was a really good launch up front. But at the back, we have a few cars going nowhere. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it looks like Rasmussen's actually got the first position, maybe just by a nose as they head into the first corner. But he's going to be around the outside. Here as the field files through Redgate down the hill. And it is Brenton Hobson who takes the lead from Daniel Rasmussen, who's actually getting forced out wide by Will Devonish, who actually makes that move for second. So it is Hobson, Devonish, Rasmussen, and Lime Mitch, your top four, as they head into turn 4 for the first time. Ooh,
Jesus, Lime Mitch was really thinking about that.
And they all just made it through as they snake back up the hill. It looks like everyone's made it through.
We did lose one car at the back. I didn't see who it was, though.
It was Coops in the 99 flat swap car that has been off the track. But apart from that, I think everyone's made it through. There's a little bit of argy-bargy still in the middle of the field. It looks like, I think that's Mike Coulston on the outside of a 3-car line as they go 3 wide at the top of the hill into, I think that's McLean's and then Cappy's. Are they going to file it through? Yes, they do. And I think the big loser out of that was Scott Nolan, who's still dropping down the field here.
Yeah, the Aussie Mail machine's now going to be in prime position to have a look through the S's. And he's not has got quite, as we see, Cracker.
Cracker's off in the background.
Yep, saw that, Cracker. And he's lost himself.
And he's gonna be very kind and come back in the circuit very slowly to not hit anyone else.
Meanwhile, Brock Harvey's making a pit stop. Tactical or problem, you reckon?
Oh, I don't know. That's an interesting one. We'll see how it goes later on in the race. I'm not sure. I think a pit stop is required out of both of these races, but that's very early. If you think you're going to stay on one set of tires to the very end of the race, that's brave.
2-time minimum pit stop as well, so we'll see how that works out for him. But I can't imagine in these cars. That's a big ask.
That is a big ask.
As we see, one of the mobile, your Turmo gets it wrong coming out of turn 3 and is now putting it the old archway. No damage done, apart from his positions.
He's not the first one who's done that tonight, and he probably won't be the last. So, unlucky Turmo. There's still plenty of racing to come. Ooh, Mike Coulston's just had a bit of a moment on the exit of McLean's at the top of the hill there, so he's dropped a bunch of positions now. But I just want to give a bit of a shout out to Scott Morrill, who's up 10 spots from his starting position in the back of the grid to be in 12th.
He got
after a lap and a half.
He got an amazing launch.
Yeah, it was quite good.
When I was fumbling through to see who went nowhere, you could just see him carving his way through traffic. He made the most of that. Poor start from the guys in front of him.
There's still a long way to go, though, from 10th position. Speaking of a long way to go, it is a second and a half at the front of the field between Hobson and Devonish, who's been tied up in a little bit of a battle with Rasmussen for this first little stanza of the race. While Devonish sets I think it's 25-5 to be not quite. Lime Mitch, the fastest lap of the race, 25-1 at this stage.
We just saw Scotty G get hip and shouldered out of 8th place there, or 9th place, wherever he was. And that's given Murrell 9th place, so he's now gained another 3 spots out of that.
And I think that was also involving Luke Joyner in the MHRT Tirana.
It was, yeah. I don't think there was anything untoward about it. It just happened to be where the Porsche wanted to be.
Yeah, and he's actually gone around again on the exit of turn 4. So
okay. His car did look a bit poorly.
Yeah, it's gone from bad to worse for Scotty G.
Meanwhile, it looks like Devonish might be in a bit of a battle for second. Have you got eyes on that?
Yeah, Rasmussen looked very good coming down this back straight last time around and went for a lunge but didn't quite pull it off. He's not close enough this time that he might be able to set himself better for a run into turn 1. The gap's still going out between Devonish and Hobson at the front of the field. So Hobson's doing what Hobson's gonna do, it looks like, and he sets the fastest lap at 24.5, immediately eclipsed by Rasmussen on a 24.4. We've had another few cars come through the pits. It looks like that was either Glenn Miles or Brian Walsh who just came through there.
Yep, and we just saw Oz Rob send it up the inside of Lime Mitch, but on the exit, Lime Mitch is going to hang around the inside of 2 and maybe through the Craner curves. Yes, cut across through the Craner curves and maintain that position for now.
Yeah, really good battle between Ozrob and Lime Mitch at the moment. It would be interesting to see as the race progresses which one of them gets the upper hand. As Rasmussen's on the inside coming up towards McLean's, is he going to be able to hold it on the inside through there and make that position? Oh, there's a little bit of contact as they come through the corner. Divinish is still hanging on the outside, but it looks like Rasmussen's got that position made.
Nicely done. I was too busy trying to figure out where they were and focus on 2 cars crashing off to see the pass, but...
And on that note as well, Ozrob's also made the move again on Lime Mitch, who undercuts him again. Oh, a bit of barge between the two of them as well, coming down the back straight.
Meanwhile, Will Devonish is having a look onto the inside of the S's, but gets a bit too much curb, gets a bit squirrely, as we see the Tirana on 2 wheels as well, and at the end of the day, holding station. Meanwhile,
all this is just letting Hobson fly away at the front of the field. A 24-1 now, the fastest lap of the race by Hobson. And a little further back as well, there's more battling going on between Bolger and Hathaway for 6th. As Hathaway has a look up the inside into turn 1. Doesn't quite get enough of it, I don't think. And now it's going to be a drag race down the hill with Mike the Stouty Camel only meters behind.
There's the likeness of that Aussie Mail machine. This is the Lara, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, look at that. He just pulled away.
Oh, he's had a little bit of a lock up into 4 and he's gone wide though. And that gives enough room for Bolger, Mike, and it looks like even Scott Murrell a chance to go past. So he's thrown it out there, which is really unfortunate. And he's going to have to spend the rest of the race trying to gain that back. Yep.
And it's already been 7 minutes. Holy cow.
Oh, geez, it went quick, didn't it?
Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun. I'm going to go back a fair way here. I'm going to have a look at what's happening with Coops. Because Coops has Cracker right on his backside as well for 13th, 14th place. As Coops just runs wide and makes a meal of...
As Rhodey goes off behind him as well.
Caught
you again, Rhodey.
Yep. We don't have the trumpets. He survived the first lap.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Okay, I'm going back up the front because it looks like things are heating up a bit. Where are we? Ozrob and Lime Mitch.
They're still going at it.
Coming through, where are we? Craner.
It's very interesting seeing the difference in the way that much wider Porsche is going against that slimmer and more nimble Alfa Romeo. I'm not sure if they're all on exactly the same physics platform, but someone's off the background. That was Mike. That was Mike in 7th, now 8th position. He's gone. I don't know what's happened there, but he was looking pretty strong up against Scott Murrell, and then all of a sudden he was backwards down the hill.
Meanwhile, Rasmussen and Devonish are right on each other's backsides again. Rasmussen takes a peek through Coppice, and on the exit coming to Starkey Straight, will try and outdrag him on the approach to the S's.
It looks pretty close here. If Will can stay around the outside, there's no gap between. If he can stay around the outside for the first part, he might be able to stay and get that position on the second part. As we see, I think that's Luke Joyner. Oh,
whoa!
Touch as well.
And that's a dangerous place to be for Rasmussen. He'd want to get that fight up pretty quickly. Nope, he's going to sit there. That's probably safer, actually.
Was there a touch between the two? Was there a touch between the two cars going through the middle of that corner?
Let's try and find out, shall we? Okay, so I've got the replay up now. Let's have a squiz of what's going on. So, Rasmussen on the inside. Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
There was definitely a touch, but because there was that spun car, I suspect it was more just checking up, and unfortunately, contact was made.
Yeah, it's one of those really difficult ones, but yeah, I think that might be a bit of a question to answer for Will Devonish after this first race. So that's actually dropped Rasmussen down. Whereabouts is he now?
He's in 9th now.
In 9th.
Yep.
Yeah, big loss for Rasmussen there.
As we see Scott Murrell up into 5th place.
And he's getting challenged immediately by is that Mitch Hathaway again? Yeah,
It is, yeah.
Hathaway's actually done a great job to recover that time that he lost going wide at turn 4. And I think he's had a little bit of help with the likes of Bolger and Coulston dropping down. I wonder if they've taken pit stops and that's why they've dropped away a bit.
Yeah, possibly. We saw Brock Harvey take an early pit stop, and he's currently in 14th. I'm starting to wonder if that's going to really help him in the long run because he started so far back. Ooh.
Yeah, just a bit to get out of the traffic and get away from everything. So we've got Brendan Hobson in the pits actually. Yep. So now it's Will Devenish leading Ozrob from line. Mitch is your top 3.
Okay, I'm going to go back to Hobson because Hobson's had to reverse to clear the Playboy machine coming out of the pit lane.
I wonder if that wasn't planned by, I think that's Brian Walsh in the pits there, just to sort of try and equalise the field, give Hobson a little bit of a disadvantage out of the pit lane.
A little bit of Dick Dastardly move, you reckon? Meanwhile, Luke Joyner is coming up on Brownie and going to come up on him pretty quickly, I suspect.
Yeah, as Brownie gets a little balked by, I think that's Scotty G. I'm still learning all these cars, but he's gotten past there because of the balk by the lap car. We've actually got this really weird period in the race where cars are just kind of everywhere at this stage.
Yeah. That's not the first time I've seen that Porsche. What's all?
Back at the front, second and third are in a very close battle
Oh,
between Lime Mitch and Ozrob as they come through the last sector.
I wonder if Lime Mitch might be thinking of taking the pit stop here because he is. Oh, look what he is indeed taking a pit stop.
And he follows Devenish in, so that's your effective race leader and third place, besides Brock Harvey, taking the pit stop at this stage. That leaves Ozrob out in front as we approach half race distance. Oh, he's just had a car spin in front of him. Actually, I think that was Stu in the white and blue Volvo. That's not Volvo, the one that looks like a Volvo. That's spun in front of him. So he's got a decent amount of clear air ahead of him now. So he should be able to put in some really good lap times throughout the rest of this race.
Excellent. Hobson's come out in 6th place at the moment. So he's got nice clear track in front of him too. Lime Mitch is right behind him as well.
Interesting. I wonder if Mitch has taken a bit of a different strategy because he's gotten out well ahead of Devenish. Devenish is a solid 5 seconds behind Lime Mitch after the pit stops. And it was the other way around before the pit stops. As we've got a yellow flag in turn 4.
Ooh, couple of cars off there.
Yeah, I made the comment that it was going to be a parking lot, and there it is.
There it is, Luke Joyner with a bit of front end damage. Let's see if what I suspect happened. So coming through the corner curves into the old airbed. Whoa, he just outbrakes himself. And into the gravel. Tries to save it. Loops it round. Oh, they were 2 separate accidents.
Yeah, it was a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, these cars were hard to drive. You didn't mention that.
I was not lying at all. And especially on a track like this, which flows so very much, if you get even just a little bit out of the groove, it can lead to some pretty crazy incidents.
Absolutely. As we just see Lime Mitch rally crossing the final chicane.
Channeling is in a brownie from earlier.
Wasn't that Alpha actually a decent rally car?
Maybe. I'm not too good at my Alpha history, so I'm not sure, but it could have been.
Yeah. As we see Luke Joyner coming into the pits after that moment. Good timing. But that will drop him down a fair way as well.
So I think at the front,
yep,
the top 1, 2, 3 cars haven't pit. Top 4 cars. So I think Rasmussen's the last car ahead of Hobson that hasn't made a pit stop, unless he has sneakily already made a pit stop.
Well, I'm going to suggest that he has.
Well, remember he had that spin, big spin in the last corner. After
okay,
with
maybe
Devenish,
not.
so,
Maybe not then. I saw a bit of tyre smoke as well in the back there. I don't know who that was, but it was like Mitch is getting very aggressive over the curbs coming through McLean's.
Yeah, trying to get through some lower class traffic. Some lap traffic. I apologise. I didn't mean that. Didn't mean to insinuate that.
We watch a lot of multi-class racing, okay?
Yeah, this is true. So the gap between Hobson and Ozrob at the moment is around 20
20
or
seconds?
25 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It's not coming up on
Oh,
my
there you
screen
go.
at the moment.
Rasmussen's in the pits. Brownie's in the pits. Murrow was out. Ozrob's. So down to 2 cars left to pit.
Yeah, so it's 27 seconds between Ozrob and Hobson at the moment, and then Hobson's got a further 3-ish seconds to Mitch. He's got a 3-second gap to Devonish. So I haven't been keeping track of how long a pit stop takes here, but it would be interesting to see where Rob pops out as he just passes a spun around Luke Joyner on the back straight.
So I'm expecting Ozrob to come to the pits now. Otherwise, there's not really any point leaving it any later because your tyres will just be that dead, surely.
He has. I might think that the having the clear air ahead of them. As we has Rasmussen spun in turn 1 from 11th, now 12th, dropping down the field. Oh, and he's been collected by Rhodey. Oh no!
Oh no! Okay, let's go back to that. Where are we?
So it's 12th place, and I think 21st of the 2 offending cars.
Okay, well, I'm having a look now. So let's see what's happened. Rasmussen's just got a bit of too much exit curb coming out of 1. Sitting there nicely in the grass, waiting for the traffic to pass. And Rhodey's hit the curb and crashed into him.
Yeah, so Rasmussen was doing the right thing there. And then the old saying, no good deed goes unpunished, occurs when Rhodey just swings around the corner and slams into his face.
Yep.
So bad luck for Rasmussen, and I think no comment will suffice for Rhodey.
Yeah.
So we've had Scott Morrill come through the pits now, so it's only Ozrob left out in front.
As Rasmussen spins in front of him again.
Yeah, so I was about to make the mention that he's coming up on some lap traffic, which might slow him down, but that's actually worked out quite nicely for him. The next car ahead of him is Rhodey, which you can just see off in the distance, down the Starkey's Straight. And then beyond that is 20th Glenn Miles, who's just going across the main straight. Now, as Rob's just taking a little bit of a trip to the gravel.
His tyres are cooked. He has to come in now, surely.
Yeah, so I think... Yeah, so he's made the decision to come in now. I think with that little off, he might actually drop a bit further down. He might actually even drop behind Lime Mitch in the pit sequence.
Well, I'll flick over to Hobson because now he's going to be the leader of the race as he comes around the final chicane now. As long as he doesn't spin it, and he hasn't. And yes, a bit of curb on exit. Yes, and there he is across the start-finish line to take the lead of the race.
And Ozrob hasn't moved. He hasn't even moved. So Lime Mitch can make that position as well, and Devonish as well.
Oh.
So he's going to drop down, maybe even to 8th, as we have a group of cars come through the pits now. Nolan, Morrill, and Bolger, they're all going to get past him. He's still not moving.
I wonder if... Oh, he did clog that sausage curb pretty hard. There he goes. He's moving now. So I do wonder if he copped some damage as a result of that.
That would be remarkably unfortunate. And he's going to rejoin in 8th, right behind Mitch Hathaway.
Ow.
And that is a big loss compared to where we were expecting him to come out. We're expecting him in the middle of the Lime Mitch Devonish battle. So that's quite a drop. He's actually some 20 seconds behind that battle. So that's
and Scott Morrill, sorry to interrupt, Scott Morrill just gets it all wrong coming through to the hold hairpin. Cuts across the inside of the track, cuts across the outside, goes through the gravel, and comes out in behind Ozrob.
Well, there you go. So that's one position ticked off as someone else locks up in the background. I think that was Brownie in the Cracker Racing 911.
Brownie making like his name in his pants.
I was waiting for that.
Well, you know, it's my juvenile mind. What do you expect?
It's tradition, yeah. So a lot of the cars are just spread out a bit on track as we've got just under 6 minutes left in the race. Hobson's just crossed the line. Next car on track is Lime Mitch, who's just crossing the line now.
Yep.
Behind him is Will Devonish, again, just going through turn 1. And then it's Scott Nolan, the second of the Synergy Sim racing cars, who are just crossing the line now. He's only got a few seconds ahead of Steve Bolger.
Okay.
And then behind them is Mitch Hathaway and Oz Rob again. Everyone seems to have just spread out a bit more now.
Yeah. And I think that's the nature... Well, geez, Will Devonish is really backing that thing into corners at the moment. What was my point? Oh, yeah. These cars, because they do look like they're so hard to drive. I mean, I haven't tested one because I can't drive, but they look so unwieldy in a way. You've got to be really gentle on the throttle, and I think we're seeing that for the first...
Isn't necessarily the easiest place to get a car that you're unfamiliar with to behave. But yeah, the bottom 7 cars in this race so far are lapped down, and yeah, it's just also on the other hand, it does show the class of the guys like Hobson and Lime Mitch as well, who I've been very impressed with watching the first TCAC series and also with his exploits in TCR coming second in that reverse grid race. So. It does show the class of these sort of guys as well.
I've just gone back to Toronto Cup class in 12th. Daniel Rasmussen and Termo and nose to tail. Rasmussen will be so disappointed with how his race has gone. He was looking so good as well.
Yeah, and don't forget, Termo also had a spin in the first or second lap, so they could have potentially been some of the front runners in this race. Both of them have best laps around the mid 24s, so that's like race leading pace almost. As I think Termo's got a bit of a run down the back straight here as they come up on some lap traffic. I think that's who is that? Glenn Miles?
That is Glenn Miles as he just gets a little bit... Ooh, that's not the place to catch lap traffic.
Oh no, Glenn!
Bail.
To be fair, Glenn really couldn't do much else there. He was kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place.
That was like a GT having 2 prototypes coming up against it in the Porsche curves.
Exactly right. You can't really do much about that.
It's just like, yeah, just basically hope you all make it through the other side.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
As long as it's not the G-Drive car, they will.
Yes, Le Mans memes. We got Brownie off from 9th. He's spun it on the top of the hill there at McLean's, and he's dropping down the order now down to 10th.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he just maybe gassed it up too much on exit there.
Let's have a look at the replay.
I'll let you do that.
Okay. Let's see, just coming through Starkey's Bridge, turn 6 up to McLean's. And yes, got a bit squirrely on brakes. Oh, wow. I'm guessing he hit a bit too much inside curb because the car just sort of bounced. And he did make contact with the inside wall too. So that's a shame.
Yeah, he was running a good 5 or 6 places above his starting position, so he'd made some very decent gains.
Damien.
And we've got I think that's Cam Rutledge in a very sorry-looking Escort just being passed by the front runners now.
Okay. Make my way back up to the field of Finchley. We have a DNF by the looks of things.
That's Brian Walsh in the second of the Playboy Racing cars.
Mm-hmm. And we're back up the front with probably 2 laps to go.
Yeah, there's not really too many close battles at the moment. Everyone's very much spread out. I think still trying to come to handle with these new cars.
Which is going to happen in the first race of the series. And of course, the first race without any specific performance adjustments. So
exactly right.
If you're going to show your true pace, do it now.
Ooh, it looks like we've got a battle now for 3rd. Will Devonish and Scott Nolan on track, very close together. What's happened to Devonish? So he had a very slow last sector. I'll see if I can catch it in the... he actually went off.
He's just dropped like a stone. Nolan got past really easy. And looks like... Has he gone off, has he?
Yeah, he went off in the last... He went off through the S's.
Okay.
So I wonder if he's actually picked up some damage. I'm trying to scroll back to see if he made contact with the wall. But yeah, that's a big drop from Nolan.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, from Devonish.
It's a shame. Now, Bolger will be looking to get past him and up onto 4th place, which will be a good result for him too, because he started mid-pack, did he not? No, sorry, he started 7th.
Bolger? Yeah.
Yeah. I remember things.
So, Devonish didn't make the wall. He must have just torched his tyres, though, because he's, dropping quite a fair way.
Using speed coming to turn 1, which is generally the fastest part of the track. It makes sense that you're going to be passed pretty easily.
Yeah, so we've just had time tick over now. So we are on our, I think, second to last lap is the way that this works.
Okay.
Hobson's actually gone wide at turn 1 and lost a bucket of time to line Mitch, who's trying to pass some lower class traffic. Oh, again, sorry, it's just a reaction at this point. Some slower traffic, some lapped cars. So that's a thing to keep an eye on as we approach the last part of this race. But this battle for third now is well on.
There we go. Ooh. Tried to fit an Opal in a gap where there wasn't an Opal.
Yeah, it's very tight now between Nolan and Devonish, and Bolger is right behind as well to pick up any of the pieces. I wonder if there's any provision. Well, I wonder how much those headlights are going to be distracting Scott Nolan as Devonish is bouncing over the curves on the outside there.
Yep. Devonish is. Gee, that bolt. Whoa! That was great commentary, wasn't it? I've just got eyes on Hobson because you believe this should be starting the last lap of the race. Nope, that's...
Yeah, last lap.
Last lap. Last lap, 19, yes. The 19th and final lap as we go back to Scott Nolan, who, as I choke.
Is really struggling. He's not looking comfortable in the car at the moment. He's bouncing over the curves, bouncing off the walls basically. And as they approach, I think that's who is that? Scotty G in that Cancer Council Martini Porsche. Things will get very interesting in this battle for third place here.
It is.
So Nolan gets through. Now, is Devonish going to be able to get through as they go?
I'm worried about Bolger here.
And Bolger does get through as well. So he's actually done a very good job there to get out of the way.
So half a lap to go. This battle is not going to die anytime soon. Devonish thinking about getting a good run through McCain's and Coppice and probably try and lunge it down to the S's, I imagine. Be a smart play.
Possibly, but there's still that problem of lap traffic just ahead. So while Devonish is trying to work over Nolan, the cars ahead of him just taking the easy option and gone well off track. So thank you very much to those guys.
That won't interfere, that's for sure. Meanwhile,
no, Devonish just slid it out of the corner. He's kept it together, but I don't think he's close enough anymore to mount a challenge. In fact, I don't think Bolger's got anything in him either.
Meanwhile, Hobson across the line for his victory. Ryan Mitch is going to get second, and Devonish can't quite get the job done, so it will be Scott Nolan in third place, Devonish in fourth, Bolger in fifth place. Great run from him. Sixth place is going to go to Ozrob. Seventh place is going to be the Aussie male of Mitch Hathaway.
And
Delara
have changed since the pit stop, so we kind of missed that. So, yeah, unfortunate for us.
Scott Murrell coming home in 8th. That's a great result for him from where he started.
Up 14 positions from where he started. So great racing, Scott Murrell.
The Saudi Camel was sponsored. That makes sense now.
You just Chris.
Oh, good lord. Oh, I don't pick up on things like that. Coming home in 9th.
No, you really don't.
And Brownie really, really gingerly through the final chicane to bring it home in 10th place.
Next up will be Damian Rasmussen in 11th. Probably a bit disappointed after qualifying second on the grid. Turmo is trying to get to the...
Has Turbo run out of fuel? Because he did pit early.
He might have. This could be
hilarious.
Oh, no.
Oh, Brock Harvey's...
Oh, no. Oh, okay. Jordan's giving him a bit of a hand.
Assistance to the rescue.
Oh, no. This is something else.
Does that mean Brock Harvey... He... Another couple of shunts he will. Rhodey's going to join the party as well.
And Rhodey helps him across the line. Oh, boy. Okay, so Turmo 12th, Brock Harvey 13th, Luke Joyner 14th, Cracker 15th, Stu, Scotty G, Coops, Glenn Miles, Rhodey, Cam Rutledge, and Brian Walsh is a non-finisher from that race. Wow. So What are we?
Okay, let's forget.
I can't.
Let's forget the finish.
Oh, I can't.
Well, apart from that madness, we got what we expected. I think it's fair to say.
Yep, Brendan Hobson strolled away at the front, won the race. We expected that. Good races from Liam Mitch, Scott Nolan, and Will Devonish. We expected that. I think gap at the very end between third and fourth was only a tenth of a second at the end, so very, very close.
Excellent.
And we got some pretty decent racing and some hilarity throughout.
What more could you want?
Honestly, nothing else. Nothing else.
Nothing else. We're going to take a quick break. I'll get rid of this frog from my throat, and we'll be back with race 2.
Seven.
65309. And we are back. So, race 1 was hilarious.
Still, I was expecting something like that. I was expecting it, but it's still funny when it happens.
Yeah. So we're about 5 minutes away from the start of race 2, which, as we alluded to before, 35 minutes on the full GP circuit.
Yeah, so they're adding the other way with the S's, and then the Melbourne Hairpin and Goddards as well. So I think that adds around another 30 seconds to the lap, because, you know, 2 really slow, really tight hairpins. And based on the practice sessions I was viewing earlier, it's actually really difficult in these cars to get them stopped and turned around. A lot of people missing the apex, especially at the Melbourne Hairpin. So keep an eye out for that as we go through the race.
And what it also does, it gives you another 2 great passing opportunities as well.
Yeah, exactly right. Especially on the exit of the S's. So maybe some of the more nimble cars might have a bit of a chance through that section.
It's going to be great. Of course, 35-minute race. We saw a lot of cars pit really early. We saw it cost Turmo.
Yeah.
So we've got to be... I think you wouldn't want to stop before the first 10 minutes, based on what we've seen.
Yeah, I think... Okay, this is something I generally think in racing. You want to put a premium on being in clear space and in clear air. So once the initial skirmishes die down, look for guys to try and maximize their space in clear air and clear running. Well, at least if they're thinking smart and using their brains. So,
yeah. Well, we saw in the previous race, we're not sure people would do that.
No, I'm sure. In fact, I'm sure they don't.
So I'm just going to tick over to watch a little bit of practice. We'll see if we can catch a car going through the Melbourne Hairpin just to see. Oh, nope, there's 2 cars on track and not both at the start of the lap. Thanks, guys. But yeah, it's really
going through the Melbourne Hairpin.
Oh, right, well, but the Melbourne Hairpin, it doesn't. It looks pretty simple on the track map, but it's downhill entry. You're at the bottom of the hill, basically. It just encourages dive bombs.
Yeah, yes, it does, and it's because of that downhill braking zone that you mentioned. The car just kind of wants to run away from you as you go through there. So I think we're skipping ahead from this session. We're going straight into the race. So yeah, people are gonna die bomb, and someone's night is gonna end in tears. I can guarantee it.
That's what we want? Question mark?
Maybe it's what we want.
Okay, and of course, because this is a random grid, we know as much as you at this point.
In before, it's going to be Rhodey and Hobson at the front of the grid. That would be carnage.
Would be.
So just for reference, Hobson's just done a sort of lap in this session. It's a 1:57. So I think based on what he was doing in practice earlier on, he could get it down to a 1:54. So that's going to be probably closer to the lap times that you should be seeing, as we see exactly what I was saying earlier. Devonish looping it around to the hairpin.
There he goes. And just got watching Scotty G. He might. Oh, they're sort of doing a little bit more practice. Nope, there we go. Yes, nope. That was just a jutter. Maybe.
I don't know.
Also, what I've noticed, the car seemed to be getting a little bit of air over this hump on the back straight.
Air?
Well,
over the hump?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, air, or maybe it's just a graphical glitch, but as we see Scotty G go gee whiz through the chicane.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I didn't actually pick up the track for tonight until about an hour before we started, so I actually haven't done any practice on it either. So, yeah.
Well, air or at least unsettles the car.
Well, yeah, definitely. And especially with the retro sort of fittings to the car, you're not going to be getting any help from any aerodynamics at all.
You know what I'm really glad they didn't do this place?
What didn't they do?
When they were talking about bringing the Formula 1 back here, they were going to basically take the track out from this final hairpin, do a big turn 8 style arc, then a hairpin to bring it back.
Oh, why? That would have been awful. Yeah, I'm glad that they didn't do that.
Yeah. That's me too. Okay, so we've skipped ahead.
And from turn 8 style arc, you mean like Istanbul turn 8 or like turn 8 on this track turn 8?
No, Istanbul, sort of.
Yeah. It's like, that's what I thought in my head as well. It's like everyone knows turn 8 Istanbul is what you mean when you say turn 8. Okay, so let's see how this grid files out.
Yes.
Guess who is on pole position?
Brenton Hobson.
It is Brenton Hobson who will be on pole, followed by Will Devonish and Scotty G on the first 3 cars of the grid. 4th
place will be Cracker. 5th place.
And then there's Rhodey. Everyone watch
out. Cam Rutledge in 6th. We didn't see much of him in the first race. Hopefully he does a bit better here.
Yeah.
7th will be Scott Murrell. He could be a dangerous guy from 7th place here.
Yeah, fingers crossed. That'll be quite interesting. Okay, it looks like everyone's ready to go on their walk, so we'll go through the grid properly once they get rolling.
We will indeed. Which is now. So there's pole position for this race will be Brenton Hobson. 2nd place, Will Devonish, the Willop Engineering Opel. 3rd place, Scotty G, the Synergy Sim Racing 71. 4th place, Cracker in the Cracker Racing BMW. 5th place, Rhodey in the Jaegeru Motorsport. Don't know why I pronounce it like an Italian. As he's already gone off track.
He's already gone. And he had to do it while we were focused on him as well. Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, well done, Rhodey.
We love you, Rhodey.
6th place is going to be Cam Rutledge, I assume. 7th place is Scott Murrell in the Cancer Council Martini Reverse Porsche. 8th place will be Lime Mitch in the Alpha. 9th place, Scotty Nolan in the Synergy Sim Racing Porsche. 10th place, Ozrob in the Rothmans-esque Porsche.
And then 11th position next to him is Luke Joyner in the MHRT Tirana. And it's Coops in the Martini liveried Porsche. Termo is off the grid on 13th, followed by Steve Bolger in the Gravel Rash BMW. Glenn Miles for the Team Playboy Racing Escort is in 15th. Then Mike Coulston in the Saudi Camel Racing Camel-sponsored Alfa Romeo, because it's a camel, get it? It's a camel, Kiwi, it's a camel.
I get it now.
Then Damien Rasmussen from 17th, Brownie from 18th, Stu in the Race Rat Escort in 19th, Brian Walsh is in 20th, and unlucky last is Mitch Hathaway, drawn car number 21 for the second race of the OZTCAC retro season. Why did Hobson have to be on pole?
Yeah, but they should just enforce a drive-through penalty for him. Go on, Hobbo, jump the start.
Yes, that would be great. Yeah, I'd love to talk about, maybe a Lime Mitch or a Scott Murrell maybe having a shot at a win, but with Hobson on pole, it does mean that the premium I said about pacing a premium on clear track, he's already got that. He doesn't have to fight for it. He can just kind of drive away. So on the plus side, at least he'll get a decent performance adjustment for the next round.
Yes.
Fingers crossed.
It's a bit like Scotty Mack though in the V8 Supercar Championship. He doesn't often get it wrong, but when he does, the racing's so exciting.
Yeah, and the problem is you have to wait for him to get it wrong for it to be exciting.
Yeah.
So at least in this series, we don't have to wait for him to get it wrong. We just have to wait for him to win a bunch, so that way he gets weight added.
Yeah, true. I'm not saying Supercars is bad at the moment, by the way, but hey.
That's a discussion that we'll have another time.
Oh, God, another thing to disagree on. As we come up to the grid now, Hobson taking his well-earned pole position. What's going on back there? We have Cracker. Oh no. Cam. What is going on here? Rhodey is. There he is.
That's the problem. So Cam Rutledge and Rhodey, because of their early incident, they've kind of been squeezed out of position.
And there's Cam Rutledge sort of having to 3-point turn his way up to 6th place.
Around Mike Coulston.
And Lime Mitch.
Get in the grid slot. So once that gets sorted out, we should be ready for a start. So
reversing on the grid. That's
been for the first turn.
Yes. Here we go. And we are away, and Will Devonish goes nowhere off the start. Nor does Rhodey.
No start for Will Devonish. It looks like Lime Mitch, Cracker, right? Scott Murrell as they come up to the first corner. Brendan Hobson is going to lead them away, and it's going to be Scotty G. Almost. Oh, there's contact between Scotty G and Will Devonish, and Scott G goes off to the side.
He does.
Other than that, everyone makes it through.
Looks like it. Still a bit 2-3 wide at the back there, but yeah, it looks like we're pretty clean as Oz Rob is on the inside of Turmo, being held up by Rhodey as Turmo goes down the inside through the old hairpin, and Rhodey gets it done.
Wow, it's pretty tight there throughout the field as they all file through the hill and now back up the other side. It looks like is Hobson just going away at the front again? Yeah, Hobson.
Yeah.
Hobson and Devonish at the front, and it looks like the big loser out of that first section is actually Scotty G, who dropped 9 spots from third in the grid.
Ouch! As Lime Mitch is getting through the Cracker Racing Team Beamer and runs a bit wide through. I don't. Maybe that's his normal racing line, but it looked a bit junky as he comes with the Starkey straight.
So at the moment we got Porsche, Opel, Porsche, Alpha is your top 5 as they come onto the national loop for the first time tonight.
Here we go.
Oh, and immediately Scott Murrell jumps the curb.
And he's got a really poor exit there, and he's very vulnerable to Nolan. And at the back.
Oh, there's a spin in the background, and that looks like Scotty G, who's been tagged, and it sent 3 or 4 people off there. And I think Rasmussen's parked it up on the curb. He gets a little bit of touch from Scotty G to get him back on track.
We're going to need a replay to decode what the heck happened there. So Scotty G down 18 from the start now.
Oh, it was all on Rasmussen. Rasmussen went for a dive on, I think it was
Rhodey.
Hathaway or Rhodey.
Both of them, yeah.
And then couldn't pull it up, made contact with Scott G, and then havoc ensued.
Basically, yeah. Rasmussen, just a little bit impatient, dare I say. And he gets a little bop at the end of it for a good measure as well. As we go on to safety car, I believe.
Yeah, it looks like it. And we've got a few pit callers straight away. So Scott Murrell and Scott Nolan pits, because that's not confusing at all. So yeah, safety car. First safety car of the TCAC retro.
Do we have a retro safety car?
Oh, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I hope we do.
That would be cool. So, as I'm scrolling through the field haphazardly, who pitted?
So Scott Morrill and Scott Nolan pitted as Rasmussen spins it again, coming out of, I think that is turn 7, McLean's. And then Scotty G also runs a little wide in sympathy. We don't have a retro safety car, unfortunately. We do just have a normal one, which is a shame.
Okay. There it is. The HSV safety car takes the lead of Brendan Thompson. Now, those guys that pitted, that's incredibly early.
Yes, it is. But on the flip side, if we spend a few laps under safety car, remember, because we've got a longer lap here, it could actually mean that they get a free pit stop on everyone if they can last it out to the end. But the problem is, lasting it out to the end, and especially with the guys like Hobson and Devonish ahead of them already, they definitely playing a gamble with track position.
They wouldn't be trying like a 2-stop thing, would they? They'd be mad, right?
They might have to. They might have to, is the truth.
Sorry, I just had a clear frog in my throat again. Again, yeah. Ribbit.
So let's go through the grid now, or let's go through the field now that we've got a bit of a neutralization under safety. So it is still Hobson from Devonish at the front. Lime Mitch is up 5 spots into 3rd already, so great start from him. Crackers maintained his position of 4th. Ozrob in 5th, up 5 places as well, so that's a great start from him. Termo up 7 into 6th, so that's more what we were expecting from the likes of Termo. Luke Joyner up 4 in 7th. Bolger up 6 in 8th, and Hathaway from the rear of the field into 9th, up 12 positions. Great job from the Hathaway.
We've seen Hobson pitting, as well as Termo and
Hobson and Mike pitting.
That's 30 minutes ago. I still can't shake the feeling that that's really early.
It probably is, but I don't know. I guess we'll see it play out. Hopefully Termo puts in a bit more fuel than he did last time.
Yes, hopefully so.
Yeah.
I do love the...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I do love the livery on Cameron Lynch's car.
That little mosaic pattern on the side.
Yeah, that's
nice.
really cool. Not really necessarily retro, but still.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Retro was all like bold lines and big colours and shapes, whereas that's just a little too pretty.
I'm trying to have a look at who his hood sponsor is. Does it look familiar? Kimberly & Co. Ground Control. No idea. Not familiar. But now I know I can do onboard cameras. That's great.
You figured it out, have you? Only took you, what? When did we start doing this? April?
Yeah.
It only took you like 4 months.
Exactly right. And this series, we should mention, will take us through to December. We didn't bring up the calendar at the start, but basically there's around every 2 weeks, although we are racing next week.
Yeah, so it's basically trying to fit around a few other series and a few other high traffic times. So yeah, we'll see. We'll bring up the calendar at the end and talk about it, right?
We will, as long as I remember.
Okie dokie. So lights are still on in the safety car, so I'm not sure if we're going to go green this time by.
We're still catching up at the back, so I wouldn't bank on it.
They are the pit stoppers though, so everyone from 15th down. So Scott Nolan, Scott Murrell, Brenton Hobson, Termo, Mike Coulston, Damian Rasmussen, and Scotty G have made the pit stop already. So we'll keep an eye on them to track their progress through the race and see if that early pit stop will pay dividends come 28 minutes and probably more like 30 minutes from now.
Mm-hmm. As we come through Melbourne hairpin, named not because of Melbourne the city, but because of the old Melbourne hairpin that used to be here back in the 1930s. It used to be like a lot longer shoot to a hairpin, and then the track we know.
And no, they're going around for another lap under safety car.
One more time, as we see another pit caller there. That's Ozrob and
Steve Bolger, is that one?
Steve Bolger as well, yes. And
then
Stu.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm recognising cars. This is great. As I'm... Oh, Stu's made... Stu's made
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Stu stopped in the wrong pit box then.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He came in behind Bolger, drove around him, and stopped again.
Huh. Weird.
That's
Well,
not
there
how
you
you.
go.
That's not how you pit. Thankfully, under safety car won't cost him too much. Scotty G. Does Scotty G pit, or has he gone off again? Because he's a long way back.
He has pit, but he has also had one or two little offs behind the safety car as well.
Because he is showing us 2 laps down, so
Yeah, that's...
not ideal.
2 laps? You sure?
Yep. Nope.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah. As we see Stu looping it round on turn 1.
Oh, I think, because when you're on... I don't think he's 2 laps down, because when you're on his car...
Yeah,
it
it's just
shows
3
you what
laps.
lap he's on, yeah.
I know how to race control.
That's why we're in the commentary box and not in the cars or in racing.
Oh god, could you imagine me as a steward? Oh god.
Oh, please no.
Everyone will be getting tracked.
I was listening into what they were saying beforehand, drivers briefing. Apparently, for any stewards inquiries that involve cars of the admins, we get to decide the outcome. So we are actually going to be some stewards. Throughout the race.
Execution.
Oh. Oh no. Whoever's idea that was, I'm sorry, but you've failed everyone.
I had to make my first steward's decision in bloody the series that I run, and that was tough enough.
Oh damn. Lights are still not out in the safety car. I don't know. Maybe queue up, but as everyone keeps taking pit stops, it means that it keeps getting delayed. So yeah, this is not ideal. Maybe it's got a mechanic for how big the accident was as well, because that was quite a few cars involved.
Yeah, maybe it was. Maybe it just does relate for everybody to catch up as I spit my teeth back in. But yeah, one more lap. This was also... Oh, the safety car is in. We're going to be going.
Safety car is in, okay.
We are going to be going this time round. No passing until they get past the control line, and Devonish is away out front with Line Mitch right behind him. You've got a massive gap over third place. Whoa, Rhodey has gone out. Whoa, holy hell.
Big crash, big crash there on the front straight. What happened?
That was...
Yeah.
I think Scotty G was the main man in that one, so let's try and find out what on earth happened. So Scotty G... I'm looking at their miles here. So Rhodey's behind him. A long way behind him. Wildcats have got a Playboy car in front. Whoa! Okay.
It looked like someone didn't go. That's what it looked like to me. Someone didn't go, and then that's backed everyone up. And as everyone's gone through, it's just made an absolute mockery of the restart.
Meanwhile, we're still green.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, no.
We are still green as we see a battle here between Cracker, Hathaway, and Joyner for third, and out front Lime Mitch and Devonish at it as well. I reckon we're going to see a bit of a dive bomb here by Lime Mitch. Oh, he's having a crack at the S's. Did not expect that. And he's pulled back in line, and as we see Hathaway losing it and cutting to the inside of the S's as well.
Okay. So after all that, it means that a lot of the guys who took those early pit stops are now non-factors. So
yeah.
Well, okay. So Lime Mitch and Will Devonish in front of the field, and then I think the first car that has made a pit stop that's escaped the carnage, of course, would be Brendan Hobson, because of course it's Brendan Hobson.
Now he's taking his first pit stop, so we'll see what he does at the end of the race. But he's got a fair bit of ground to make up now, hasn't he? He's what?
Yes, he does. But remember, the guys in front of him don't have to. Well, sorry, they have to make a pit stop still. So he's got a bit of an advantage in that respect because he can stay out.
I still reckon he's going to have to make a second stop.
We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what happens as the cars go through the first sector of the lap. there's a bit of a battle going on for 8th at the moment. Rasmussen's got a trio of Porsches behind him.
Just looking at that
as
now.
they filed down the hill. Yeah. And he's always locked up pretty harshly into turn 4, and he's gone off and he's dragged Brownie with him. So that means Ozrob and it looks like and Brownie's gone around returning to the circuit. So that's not ideal. So it's Hobson and Rob managed to get through that, and yeah, Brownie's the big loser out of that.
And we'll come back on in 17th place.
9th place down to 17th.
Meanwhile, our guys who were involved in that massive incident have made their way back to the pits now. And out front,
Colston and Rody.
Yep. Out front, Devonish has got a good second lead on Lime Mitch as they come through the S's on their way to the Melbourne hairpit for the 6th lap. Luke Joyner's in 3rd, good 4 seconds back now. And our first pit stopper is Hobson, 11 seconds back.
Actually, it's Scott Nolan who's in 6th, who's the first one.
He's not in 6th anymore. He's just made a move down the inside of Mitch Hathaway coming through the Melbourne hairpin. But on exit, the Delara has got the drive and looks like he will maintain that position for now. And also has the inside running to the final corner.
And Hathaway's done a good job there. He's actually held Nolan out to dry. Normally what happens there is and it looks like we've got a yellow flag at turn 1. And that's because Rody stopped in the pit exit very wisely to let everyone go through.
Yep.
So what Hathaway did there, which is really smart, is he braked earlier and caused Nolan to hang around the outside. Often you see the guys who's stuck on the inside try to brake later and then go too deep into the corner, and then the guy on the outside just cuts him behind and then you lose the position. But Hathaway was really smart there. He kept the inside line and he forced Nolan to take the outside, and yeah, he was able to maintain that position. And now he's all over the back of Cracker for 4th position, but Nolan's actually got the jump on him and might get the jump on Cracker as well.
This is great racing, and Hathaway now thinks about making a move through turn 7. And
yeah, Cracker's acting like a bit of the cork in the bottle here as some of the faster guys try and come through. And Nolan's got the inside into 8 at the top of the hill. Can he keep it there? Cracker's gone wide and it allows that move to happen. But now Nolan's actually a bit vulnerable to Hathaway as they come down the back straight over the hump in the middle. But
did they touch over the hump there?
What was that?
I think they touched over the hump as we see them going 2 by 2 into the S's, and Turmo tries to make it 3 wide on exit.
So Hathaway was unlucky there. He got a bit boxed in from both sides as Joyner got in on the action. So Joyner makes that... Turmo rather. Joyner is ahead of them. So Nolan's come out of that the winner, but he's not managed to skip away just yet as he leaves a big rubber mark down on the exit of the Melbourne hairpin. You know
who is skipping away up front?
Will Devonish.
4 seconds.
Wow. I wonder if something happened to Lime Mitch that last lap.
No,
Devonish sets the fastest lap.
That's what's happened, is we see a car spinning into the pit lane.
Oh, smooth.
Smooth. I didn't see who that was, and I saw Rody going really slowly, so it wasn't him.
It was Ozrob. Ozrob went through the pits. Oh, that's a big shame. He's dropped now from wherever he was. I think it was about 6th or 7th down to 10th after that. And he didn't take a pit either. He just spun and then went through.
Okay. Just got the final chicane, or not even chicane, just final hairpin. That's a really odd thing.
Yeah, maybe he just got it wrong and then just found his way into the pits.
Yeah. And of course, unlike NASCAR, if you get it wrong, you can just speed through the pits 170.
Seriously?
Yeah, if you in NASCAR, if you spin through the pit lane, you can just gas it and go.
Wow. Okay, sure.
Yeah. And
anyway,
as I'm looking at Brian Walsh loop it round, that is a massive dent in the side of his car as well. I'm sure there is.
It's a pretty healthy battle starting up for a 3rd at the moment between Joyner, Nolan, Turmo, and Hathaway was in the middle of it until he tried to skip through the chicane and brought a bunch of gravel on the circuit with him. So, yeah, remember...
Turmo!
Nolan...
Sorry, Turmo was just backing it in there. and saved it.
Remember, Nolan was the first pit stopper on the first lap that the safety car came out. So he's the earliest of the bunch and probably is going to be suffering the most at the very end as Turmo goes a little wide in that last corner and sees position to Hathaway and maybe even to Hobson as well. Oh, Hathaway's coming into the pits.
Smart. Get out of that. Get some clean air.
Exactly. So
it's been a good race from Hathaway so far because that's 14 positions gained before that stop.
Yeah, that's true. And remember, some of that would have been
as he
some of the other cars.
Sorry, he just overshot his pit bay. That's costing him a bit of time as well.
Oh no.
Yep.
We were just giving him a rap. It's classic commentator's curse.
And he just reversed in the pit lane. In most series, that's a DQ.
Eep. Yeah, that's a solid eep.
Yeah, obviously, in sim racing, it doesn't matter so much.
You'd hope so.
Okay, so looking at Rob and Rasmussen now, they're nose to tail. Keeping a cheeky eye on the front as well. Currently, Hobson's 11 seconds behind Devonish. So that battle, as Rasmussen, oh no, we got excited there. That's a lap down car. That's Cracker a lap down, just interfering with that battle momentarily. Things are.
So I think.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say things are starting to calm down a bit. We're into the pit cycle now.
Yeah. But remember, there's that group of cars that have already made that pit stop as well. So we might see a flurry of pit stops now and then another flurry later on if they need to come in again. In saying that though, Nolan is going to be our sort of litmus test for that as he makes a pass on Luke Joyner to go into third place rather.
Nice.
So he did a very good job through the S's. So yeah, Nolan's going to be our sort of marker for if the early stoppers need to come into pit again, because it was him and Scott Morrill on the first lap, and then the next group was led through by, I think, Brenton Hobson. So they're going to be the ones to watch as this race goes through to see if those early stoppers have to stop again.
It just saw Rob tried to full send it into the Melbourne hairpin there on Rasmussen. Didn't quite get the job done, but very clean racing, but very aggressive racing at the same time, which is good to see.
You just got to lick the stamp, buddy. You just got to lick the stamp and send it.
Yeah, but stamps taste horrible.
Ew.
Get the peeling ones. They're much nicer. Don't lick them though. That's pointless.
How many... Not even going to ask. Not even going to ask.
Anyway, back out front. Lime Mitch is a good 6 seconds back on Will Devonish now. And Hobson isn't really gaining on these two either. He must be on conservation.
Oh, Lymitch is off. Lymitch is off in second place. He's spun it on the exit of turn 4 and he's made contact with the wall underneath the arch. Oh no, he's dropping down now 4th, 5th place. He's going to drop down to 6th as well. Oh no,
what happened there? All right, let's bring it up. Let's see what we can find out. Okay, so coming through the Corona curves, turn 3 is looking good. Coming to the old hairpin, a little bit of a brake lock up. And just runs wide on exit. And tank slapper. And yeah, backs into the archway wall. Bang.
Yeah, that's that's a shocking mistake. Because he was in the hunt there. He was not right on Devonish's tail, but he was a respectable distance behind. And it was looking very good for Lime Mitch. All this has done is this has allowed Nolan up into second place. And now Brenton Hobson is fighting with Luke Joyner for third. And that could go very quickly the way of Brenton Hobson very shortly as they make their way through the Melbourne hairpin. And Joyner runs a little wide, leaves that inside line open for Hobson, who gets the drive out of the corner. It does look like Joyner's maintaining that position, but that gap's now less than 0.2 of a second.
So it won't be too much longer until he's passed, I suspect. But what it is doing is giving... Whoa! What happened there?
Was that contact? I think that was contact. Joyner's ended up in the wall on the inside. And only just missed by Lime Mitch, who dives into the pits.
I think it was contact, but the fact he's gone into the pits suggests that it might have been contact as a result of him going into the pits. Let's have a look here. So
I don't know. The contact was made pretty early in that sequence. So
let's have a look here. So we're looking at Joyner.
Oh yeah, it might have. I don't actually think there was contact. I think it was just.
If there was, it was slight.
Yeah, I think it was just Joyner looping it on the exit. Right in front of Hobson though. That was what's the expression? Heart and mouth sort of stuff.
Yeah, as my game just freezes for a moment. Would you like to radio show this for a moment, please?
Sure, I'll radio show this. So now it's the two Synergy Sim racing cars that lead the field. Remember, both of them have taken pit stops because Devonish has gone through the pits now as well. Termo is the closest car to Hobson, only about half a second further back. And then it is Ozrob, Rasmussen, and Steve Bolger, who have all taken pit stops, if I recall correctly, who are the next three cars. Devonish has gone through the pits and he's now down in 7th place, which is a solid, I think it's about 20 seconds behind the leader. So that will be a gap to watch as we approach 12 minutes left in this race. Then it's Scott Murrell, Scotty G, Luke Joyner down in 10th after that pit stop. Mitch Hathaway in 11th, Cracker 12th, and Lime Mitch, after taking that pit stop and that spin, he's down in 13th place at the moment. So pretty costly mistake for Lime Mitch earlier on the piece.
That's an absolute
shame. The gap between Nolan and Hobson at the moment is around that 3-second mark, but it's coming down pretty significantly as Hobson has some clear air. Nolan did just set his best lap though, of 57.1, but in reply, Hobson, Nolan's gone off at turn 1. So that gap that was coming down, it's coming down even quicker now as they plunge down the hill. And Brenton Hobson is right on his tail as they come down the hill. It was 3 seconds at the line. It is now less than half a second as they approach turn 4. So that escalated quickly.
That escalated quickly, and the computer chose a really wrong time to crash.
So did your computer crash entirely?
The game did.
Oh, okay. So you should get back in while I continue to radio show this.
Indeed.
So it's Nolan and Hobson leading the field, the two SSR cars, and Termo is just a few tenths behind. So the two SSR cars are separated. They're basically bumper to bumper here as they go over the hill at Coppice onto the back straight. Hobson taking a much narrower line through that corner while Nolan goes a bit wider. But what that's done is that's actually allowed Termo onto the back. So it's a 3-car battle pack as they come over the little hump there where the old Dunlop Bridge used to be and into the S's. So still all line of stern. They're approaching some light traffic now. That's Cam Rutledge just ahead. And Hobson's gone wide at that corner as well. So it opens the door for Termo to make the move up the inside and make that position into second. And he's going to dive for the lead as well. He's going to go dive down the side into the Melbourne hairpin. They make contact between him and Nolan, and they all escape very just at the end there. They all decided that discretion was the better part of valor and made just a little bit of contact, but they all managed to play on, and it is just about 0.2 of a second between Nolan and Termo, and then Hobson just behind. In fact, Nolan's got a really good exit out of that last corner, and it's now Hobson all over the back of Termo. Going into turn 1, Hobson makes a dive. He shows the nose. He's going to get through. No. Termo closes the door. Hobson has to lock up to prevent that move being made. Prevent contact there, rather. And they all plunge down the hill. 1, 2, 3 separated by less than half a second. With fourth place a good 6 seconds behind.
This sounds amazing, and I can't get back into the game.
Oh no, Kiwi, what are you doing?
Oh no. Well, you didn't...
And Termo's run wide. Termo's run wide at turn 4, and that's undone all the good work that he's managed to put together. He does keep it mostly on track, but that just gives a big free kick to the two SSR guys, and they're out again over a second and a half ahead of Termo, ahead of the field. Mate, get back into the game.
I'm trying. It's healthy session close. But while I sort on this, so we've got, 8 minutes left in the race?
8 minutes and 15 seconds at this call. Oh, Nolan's gone off as well. Nolan at turn 8, which is allowed... Oh, that was very close. It's allowed Hobson through, and Nolan almost got collected by Termo as well at the top of the hill. So now Hobson's got 2 seconds over the rest of the field, while Termo and Nolan have made mistakes and just dropped themselves a bit further back.
Fantastic.
And while that's all happening, Oz Rob is actually keeping pretty a close eye on it. He's only about 2 seconds behind this battle now, but with Hobson taking the lead, it's going to be very hard to reel him back in.
And so how are we looking for pit callers as well? Because at the moment...
there aren't any pit callers at this stage. So the guys that have been the early stoppers were Brenton Hobson, Scott Nolan, I think Ozrob's in that group as well, and Scott Morrill. Morrill's down in 9th at the moment. He's just been passed by Scotty G, and Ozrob's actually put the fastest lap of the race in a 56.9. So he's getting some really good life out of his car at the moment.
Excellent.
I'm trying to scroll back to find the top of the field. Hobson's actually pulled out quite a bit.
Okay. Yep. I was going to say, because I'm relying on you to hindy this because I can't get back into the game. Its server says the session is closed. So sorry to everybody who was watching this. My computer decided to have a
Make sure that you've got spectate on.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll just channel my inner Graham Goodwin for the rest of the race. Then you can listen to my dulcet voice.
And I'll chip in where I can. Because I have a classification of the top 10 that's about it at the moment, which currently is Brenton Hobson leading, Turmo and Scott Nolan running at the podium, Ozrob in 4th, Damien Rasmussen having a much better race in 5th place at the moment, Steve Bolger in 6th, 7th place to Will Devonish, 8th to Scotty G, 9th to Scott Morrill, both Scotties who pitted really early, and Mitch Hathaway in 10th place.
That battle between Scotty G and Scott Morrill is actually really quite tight at the moment. It's only about half a second as they come up towards turn 8 at the top of the hill. Scotty G actually runs it just a little wide on the curb, but managed to hold it in there. And Morrill's got a much better exit, but he's gone onto the outside for the next sequence of corners. But I don't think it's going to matter. Yes, as he makes the move on the straight. Now, is Scotty G going to dive up the inside? No, he thinks better of it. So now Morrill takes that position. He's now in 8th, and Scotty G is in 9th. Back at the head of the field, the battle between Turmo and Scott Nolan still isn't over as we approach 5 minutes and 15 seconds and they cross the line. It's still only about 0.2 of a second here, and it doesn't look like either of them are going to be able to get away from each other. But what they're doing is they're actually slowly reeling in Brenton Hobson. So Hobson, he doesn't seem to have the outright pace. In fact, he actually had a very slow last sector. It was a 51.8 versus a 50.3 for Turmo there. As they approach some lap traffic down the hill, very tight in turn 4, and Turmo's gone off again. He's gone off trying to pass. I think that is... and there's contact as well. There's contact between Scott Nolan and the lap traffic, and that sent them all off.
That's a shame. That is an absolute shame. Yeah. So that's the old hairpin fighting back again. It's interesting because Hobson, he's got to be in a conservation round. It's the only way he can make this work. Same thing for the Scotties.
Yeah, I think that is how it's been able to work for Hobson's, but he's just been given a massive free kick there because Turmo and he locked up trying to pass Stu in turn 4, and then I think it was Scott Nolan made contact with Stu that sent Stu off. So Turmo's actually dropped well down the field now. He's now in 7th. So that's a full, I think, 30 seconds behind Brenton Hobson. So that's a big loss for Turmo there. And I wonder if there's going to be a little bit of a chat to the lap traffic at the end of this race to, keep in mind that some of the faster guys are going to be passing you, and they're going to be passing you pretty quickly. So yeah, real shame for Turmo. But yeah, unfortunate.
It's because it's interesting you talk about the lap traffic there, because we saw it in qualifying in the first race. They just get out of the way. I wonder if there's a perception that the lap traffic is just going to get out of the way when they don't necessarily have to, because most series we follow is hold your line.
Yeah, this is true, but that's for multi-class sort of stuff. This isn't multi-class. This is, a touring car sort of series. So you would expect a sort of jump out of the way blue flag sort of deal to be in place. So I think, yeah, they might have to have a discussion about that in the next driver's briefing, just to sort of make sure that everyone's on the same page. Because, at turn 4, there is only one line. And if you're having to try and pass lower class traffic, it is just going to cause mayhem, which I've just seen. You guys, unfortunately, have had to listen to me yap on about this.
And you're doing a bloody good job of it too.
Thank you. I'm trying my very best. The battle for second now is very, very hot. So Scott Nolan, after that little bit of an incident, he's actually had to drop back, and he's dropped back into the clutches of Ozrob. So Ozrob's having a little peek as they come up through McLean's and into Kappas, but it doesn't quite look like he's got the ponies yet. He does take a much narrower line through there, choosing to hit the inside curb on both apexes rather than Nolan, who chooses to run it a little wider. But the gap is very, very small. In fact, Rod he's showing the nose into the hairpin, but into the S's, but thinks better of it. There's no way he was going to be able to get that dive done in there, and he doesn't quite get the right exit out of the hairpin. Again, the S's that lap around. So Nolan's stretched out a few car lengths there, and gives him a bit of respite from the advances of Ozrob. Just quickly, the first car that made those later pit stops is Will Devonish. He's still in sixth position. He's made no inroads on the top five who took that earlier pit stop. And as we approach only 90 seconds left in the regular race distance before we start to hit that buzzer, it's looking like those early stoppers are going to be able to make it to the end.
Conservation runs have worked.
Yeah, it seems to.
Knock me down with a feather and call me Daisy.
I'd rather not ever be anywhere near you and call you Daisy. That just makes me uncomfortable.
Me too. So with a minute to go, so what? 2 laps?
So Hobson is... Whereabouts is Hobson at the moment? Hobson's just coming out of turn 4. So I don't quite... Yeah, it'll be, I think, the rest of this lap and then another one will be the end of the race. So it'll be 18 laps. So one less than we had on the national circuit. Nice little bit of parallelism there.
That's a word?
Yeah. I guess it is now. I made mention of Devonish earlier. He's actually found a way to catch up to Steve Bolger in the BMW for that 5th place. So they're in a heated battle now. I think Bolger just went a little wide through 4 and got two wheels on the grass, which unsettled him. Whereas Devonish got a cracking run through there. So they're actually only separated by about 3/10 at the top of the hill at Kappas as they go through there now. The little Opel looks very different compared to, much smaller compared to the BMW. It's like a little terrier yapping at the heels as he shows the nose into the S's. He's going to have a dive here. Yes, he is. Is there going to be enough room? Not quite. Bolger closes the door and keeps him still ahead of Devonish. In fact, we've lost Rasmussen from ahead of them. Rasmussen's went off earlier in the lap, and he's actually gone through the S's gravel as well. So he's now down to 6th. And now that battle between Devonish and Bolger is for 4th. 4th.
Excellent.
So we've hit the time limit now, and it looks like Hobson has just started the final lap 18. Immediately behind him, he's got about a 5-second gap to Scott Nolan, who has 2/10 between him and Ozrob at the as they start the last lap. And then further back, it's 9 seconds between Ozrob and Steve Bolger, but there is nothing between him and Will Devonish as Devonish tries to squeeze his way around the outside of turn 1. I don't think you need any room there, Will, as they come down the hill. I'm trying to keep my eyes on 2 battles at once. I need a split screen. I need 2 separate screens.
you need a competent broadcaster.
Yeah, that too. Nether, where are you? Sorry, what? So it's Nolan and Ozrob coming up the hill. They're still basically bumper to bumper here as they make their way through McLean's. Nolan being very defensive, driving inside basically down the center of the track to try and dissuade Ozrob from making any sort of move through there. And he's trying to use that narrow line through Kappas as well. And he keeps the car very pointed on the exit, but Ozrob's got a great run here. He's in the slipstream. It's just a matter of whether or not he can make the dive. He moves to the inside. Nolan covers. He can't get the dive made, and Nolan's pulled it up somehow in the S's and kept that position. Now, can Rob... Oh, no, Rob's fishtailed it out of the S's, and that's probably it for that battle. It's now 3 or 4 car lengths there, so unless Nolan makes a mistake, there's no way he's going to get past.
That's coming into Melbourne hairpin?
Yeah, coming into the Melbourne hairpin now, and yeah, there's too much of a gap there for Ozrob to overcome it. But as it was in race 1, it will be again in race 2. Brendan Hobson comes around the final corner onto the main straight, and as the clock continues to tick past the 35-minute mark, he will take race 2 here at Donington Park. Ahead of his teammate, Scott Nolan, a double podium for Scott Nolan as well, and Ozrob in 3rd position. And Devonish got him at the line. Devonish got Bolger around the last corner to take that 4th position. So it'll be Devonish ahead of Steve Bolger. Again, I keep making that mistake. Steve Bolger in 5th place.
Then Turmo in 6th.
Pardon?
Turmo in 6th place just across the line now?
Yep, Turmo Tokyo Drift style out of the last corner to take 6th. And then it was Scott Morrill who prevailed in that battle between himself and Scotty G for 7th and 8th. Mitch Hathaway is just coming around the last corner to lap Rhodey once again in 9th. And then in 10th place, it will be Lime Mitch, the first of the Alfa Romeos. Remember, he had that spin earlier on the race that really cost him quite a bit of time. And he will take 10th place.
Excellent. Now, I must apologise to everybody for having a recalcitrant computer. I was not expecting that, obviously. But very well done, Michael, on bringing the radio broadcast home.
My voice hurts.
I'm sure it does. Does it hurt? Does it hurt enough for you not to ask questions of our race winners?
I think you can. I think I've done enough.
Okay, fine. Well, we have in the booth to start with Brenton Hobson. 2 from 2, mate. Can't ask for better than that.
No, that's right. That's always the goal when you come out. You want to try and pick up all the race wins you can, but of course the success ballast comes with it, so something to look forward to.
Well, we saw how much that hurt you in the last series. The second race, that pitting as early as you did that compromise the rest of your race at all?
I wasn't too worried about tyres or anything like that, but it was the smart decision to do because you lose less time pitting early, jumping on the back of the queue like we had to, than having to make your green flag pit stop. So we got our pit stop out of the way under the safety car, which was the strategy and the thinking behind it.
Excellent. Michael?
So was that call made by you or Scott? Because we noticed that both of you guys were the perpetrators of that early safety car move. That early safety car pit stop.
Because I'm an awesome teammate and a streamer, I don't even talk to Scott during the races. So, but I didn't notice that the safety car came out until after I crossed the pit entry. So I think he might have pitted straight away, and then I had to pit the next lap from behind the safety car, and he jumped us in the cycle. So he was a bit smarter than me.
Yeah. Cool. More questions, Chris?
Sorry, I'm not in a speaking mode.
Not in a speaking mode? Okay, I guess I'll continue on. We've also got here Scott Nolan. Scott, I think it was 3rd place in race 1, 2nd place in race 2. Congratulations on your stellar weekend. Well, stellar evening. I keep forgetting that racing doesn't always happen on the weekend in sim racing. Tell us about the race.
Yeah, look, I'm pretty wrapped with that. Like, if you said to me I was going to get a double podium 10 minutes before quali, I would have said, or even in quali, I would have said you're dreaming. Really, really struggled, and I found it. I found there was a setting that I just had wrong, and I found it, and it just made it so much easier to drive, and I found the pace after the first quali session. Race 1 was good. I can't believe we got 3rd after I fell off the track out of the pit stop, but that was great. I think everyone fell off the track maybe, so that was good. And then,
that was what we noticed. Everyone had a moment. It didn't matter.
Yeah,
even Hobson had a few.
Too.
Yeah.
So, and then in race 2, we took the strategy call and pitted, and I was very surprised. It was only like me and Scott Morrill that did it as it came out. So I was very surprised that a lot more didn't. And then I just keep making these silly errors. Like I get down, my head down, I say, all right, Hobbo's coming. I'll make him pass me, and then I just do something silly and run off the track. And done it a couple of weeks in a row now, so I've really just got to knuckle down and pick up that side of it. It really kicks me doing that. So I don't like freebies. So, but yeah, look, come home second. I feel a bit sorry for Turmo. He got caught up in that lap traffic there at the bottom of the hill, and that was just a schmozzle. I thought that lap car could have been a bit more kinder to both of us, but he caught the raw end of the stick there, and then a good little battle with Ozrob to finish it off.
That's what.
I was going to say that battle between yourself and Ozrob at the end was the highlight of the end of the race. Rob, what was your view of that?
Yeah, I certainly enjoyed that. It was a bit of a, I do a sneaky thing with Hobbo, and I get on his stream and doing for a setup. So I said, "Oh, Hobbo says 20 laps of fuel. That'll do."
I did the same thing, and I nearly ran out in race 1.
But no. This first race, I don't know what happened to my computer. I couldn't change anything, couldn't do anything. So that ended my race in the first one. But the second race was really good. I was catching the turbo and Hobbo, got to them, and unfortunately Turmo had what he did with the back markers, but left me and Scott to have a ding dong battle, and I really enjoyed that. Tried to put the pressure on Scott here and then. I think I had the pace on him if I got in front, but I didn't. He put all the right moves, so it was good. So.
Yeah, I was going to mention about lap traffic. Has anything been said about what they need, if they need to just jump out of the way, or whether you guys need to pass them with caution? Has anything been said about that? Because there was a fair bit of balking going on.
Well, I think everyone knows what to do, but doing it is. I don't know if I think, but I think it's just, as far as I'm concerned, it's the given, and it should come up on the screen with a blue flag. So. But anyway, that's something maybe that will get talked about. But they did say it's a fun series, but that sort of also doesn't mean, I guess,
drop like a deal.
People coming through.
We're here to win. We're here to win.
So, yeah. But everyone wants to have fun, but also semi-serious, I guess. But yeah, anyway, I had fun, had a good race with Scott. So
speaking of deal, should we get Rhodey in here?
Oh.
I want to find out what on earth happened at restart.
I think we've tortured him enough, honestly. I think we've tortured him enough. We do also have Devonish in here. Will, a pair of fourths, good move in that, that last corner to get that fourth position. You were caught out by not taking that pit stop under safety car. Any regrets?
Yeah, I just calculated that the tyres weren't going to last the period, so I was banking on everyone else falling off the track, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shame in that respect because you were one of the early pace setters. What about the rest of your race weekend? You had some pretty decent battles with Scott Nolan in that second race, and then in that first race, and then the second race it was Steve Bolger who you were battling it with at the end.
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed in the first race. I spun it on the last turn, and took me 15 seconds to get back on the track, which ruined that race. But second race, it was nice to chase Bolger down and get him on the last turn. So I think we both had a lot of fun there.
Yeah, it looked like it. And you were the lead of the group who didn't take the pit stop at the safety car. So that must feel a little good then.
Yeah. It's not like I didn't have fun. It was as good as it could have been for that race. So yeah.
And just quickly, as you didn't finish on the podium, guess what? You don't get any weight added for the next round.
Yeah, it should be lovely.
Well, that's all the questions I have. I think that's it from me, Chris.
All right. Well, we'll bring this radio show to an end. Thank you again, Michael, for doing your best John Hindhaugh impression for the last 10 minutes of that race. Sorry that my game crashed on everyone.
That's fine, I hope.
Yeah.
We can always bring up the replay and commentate over that or put that in.
We can. I might do that. I've got the schedule up on screen. Next week we're going to your favourite racetrack in the world.
Oh, no, it's Winton, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, why?
Yes, it is. But another 2 races there. The rest of the series as well, we'll go to Sandown after that. And then a few Brazilian ones I can't pronounce. So
we've done Ibarra. We know Ibarra. We can pronounce Ibarra. It's not that hard.
For you, maybe. But yeah, it's going to be. If the racing for the season is going to be like what we saw tonight, it's going to be fantastic. Thank you, Michael, for joining me tonight.
No problems. Thank you very much, Chris, and thank you very much, Will Devonish, Mike the Sauter Camel, and Brock Harvey for having us back again. It's a pleasure to be back.
Yeah. Ditto. Hope you got no regrets. On that note, thank you everybody. We'll see you next week.